All right. Hold still. There you are. How can I help you today, sir? Okay. Did you have questions about a specific charge or a group of charges? During your time as an officer. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, I see during your tenure as a police officer, you served for quite some time. I'm also noticing some very disturbing patterns of behavior during your time as an officer of the law. I assume that is what you came to ask me about? It does say, in a broad sense, it does say abuse of power, yes. I think a more accurate description would be you protected and served a very specific demographic of your community, and you openly terrorized and or ignored literally all of the other demographics within that community. So I think that's probably a more accurate description of your overall behavior during your time as an officer of the law, which was, it looks like, in stark contrast to several of your other brothers and sisters in blue who served the community that you also served in very evenly, very nobly, very consistently, very faithfully. Yet somehow you seem to struggle following in their example. So, care to explain to me why that is? Certain, needed a heavier hand? Right. Right. Okay. All right. So, but my question to you is, why were you unable to dole out the letter of the law equally as is basically demanded of you in your job description? I am under the impression that based on the part of the world that you lived in, the letter of the law applies to all citizens of your communities equally, not based on status, position, amount of money, religious separations, anything of that nature. I'm reading here that where you lived at the time, the law was the law for everybody. But you actively behaved as though that was not exactly the case. So this whole idea of some parts of your community needing a heavier hand than others, how some people are. Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately for you, I have seen a wider spectrum of people in my existence than you ever will, than you ever have, than you ever hope to ever see. So I have seen the whole gambit, from the golden-hearted, poor and destitute, to the soulless, rich and privileged, and everything in between. So this notion that certain members of your community and certain sections in your community needed a firmer hand than others based on, just them being those people, it doesn't really hold any water. And it speaks more about you as a person than it does those actual groups in your community. So these charges, I'm assuming because you wanted them removed, right? Is that what, am I guessing? Are we on the same page here? That's what you came here to have them taken off? Okay, good. All right. So as long as we're on the same page, we're understanding one another, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere right now. Because while you still have this mentality of certain people need to be treated certain ways, you just can't move beyond that right now. Unless you actively like really wrestle with that and like work through that and find out, why do you believe that? Why did you act upon those mentalities and those mindsets? Why were you struggling so hard to do your job when other brothers and sisters of your same profession seemed to have a pretty firm grasp of what their job description was? So once you've come to some kind of grips with that, make an appointment with me again and we'll try to have this conversation end differently, because it's not going to end the way you wanted it to, like right now. So have yourself a day, and I'll see you next time. Have yourself a day, sir.